Hello, you beautiful people. How you doing today? This is Lava Temptress and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome. Hi! So today we're going to be doing a mod showcase, and this one is Applied Energistics 2. Today is not tutorials, we will have those following. Today is just an overview of what the mod is and all the different stuff you can do with it. So some of the components, a lot of this is creating everything that you need to create the whole system, which this is a system here, a very basic system. But it's a system where you can store a whole bunch of items and access it remotely. It's pretty awesome. So let's get started. First of all, it adds 2 new ores. It adds the Certus Quartz ore, which when you break, it gives you these. These are Certus Quartz. And then it has the charged Certus Quartz ores. And you will need these for multiple things, especially for crafting recipes, and including making a Fluix crystal, which we will need to craft other stuff too. So, you can either get these charged Certus Quartz, which are much more rare, by mining, or you can make this charger, and you put the regular Certus Quartz ores in, and you will notice they change color. And if you leave them on too long, they will even start to shoot off some little sparks. Right now, it's probably kind of hard to tell because, well, you can see the ones behind it. But these are what we're going to need to make our Fluix crystals. Well, this does require power, so you might wonder, how do I get early game power? Well, that's with this vibration chamber. So the vibration chamber, you put coal in, and instead of cooking ores or anything, it powers your little ME system. So like a very basic starter system, you're probably going to want an energy cell. These are basically, they hold power, but it also powers your system. So you need an energy acceptor to power your system. There's 2 different kinds, and if you look at them, it'll tell you what kind you have, how much power you have in each one. And because it's connected to this energy acceptor, as soon as this one's full and this is using all the power it needs, it'll automatically power any extra ones connected to it, which is pretty awesome. So this is an ME chest. This is going to be your first way to actually get some of this storage stuff. So if you click on the top part here, it'll show you anything you have in here. Now, I don't have anything in here, but for instance, if we put something in there, you put one of these storage drives in here. So I just put a 1K in because that's the first tier that you can make. The storage cells go all the way up to 64, or if you are playing with certain mod packs, it actually goes up further than that, but that is an actual different mod. But it is made with these, so 1K, 4K, 16K, and 64K. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means it'll hold 1,000 of a certain item. Now, that doesn't mean it won't hold more than 1,000. It just means if you go over 1,000 of a certain item type, then it'll just take up 1 extra slot. So it'll hold 64 items, 1,000 of each of those items. Okay. Okay, so that's the basic one. Now, to get some of the other stuff, we're going to use a grindstone, and this is added by the mod. So you make the grindstone and then this little wooden crank here. So what it does is it will grind these up by turning this, which you right click, and you can just hold it down. And you can put something down there and hold it down and it'll keep going. However, if there is nothing in there and you have it still held down, like if you go AFK, because I do this all the time, time saver. But if there is nothing else in there, it will break the wooden crank. But that's fine because then you could just make another wooden crank and put it on top. But the difference is if you grind the crystals, it'll give you 1 to 1. If you grind the ores, it'll give you 2 for every ore. So that'll work on the Certus Quartz ore and it'll work on the Nether Quartz ore. And because we are going to need the dust in order to make the Fluix and make some seeds and some other stuff. But first of all, let's get started. Another thing you're gonna need is to find a meteor. So I have found one. There's one over there, but I also have another one over here. So when you make your meteor compass, it'll point in a certain direction. So there's actually one over here too. And I think I found out this one is closer. But let me get to it and I'll show you what it does when you get there. Okay, so this is what a meteor looks like. Stupid weather. This is what a meteor will look like. And it has this huge area. Sometimes these are a little bit more up on top, and sometimes they're actually a little bit more underground. But you'll notice the meteor compass spins out of control when you actually find one. Now, why do you need these? First of all, you're going to need some of these sky stone. But when you go down the middle, you will come to this sky stone chest. And when you open it, it has these patterns. Now, there's 4 different patterns, and you usually won't find them all in one chest. So you will have to find multiple chests, but this is how you find the patterns that we're going to need and get the sky stone. Okay, now with those patterns, what we're going to do is we're going to make an inscriber, and we're going to put the pattern in, and depending on what you're making, but for instance, if we want to make a 1K storage component, we need this logic processor. And if you look at the logic processor, you need 3 different components. So first of all, we're going to do the printed silicone. So to make that one, you're going to use the silicone press and the silicone. But you can look up all the different recipes, but this is how you're going to make it. And then you're going to put, let me get out some silicone, and let's go ahead and get out. We're going to make some of this other that we need. All right, so if you can only do one at a time. You can put a hopper up top, but then you have to actually have something where it comes out also. But you can only put in one at a time. Now, certain packs have a separate mod that allows you to make an advanced one, but just for applied Energistics 2, that is not part of it. I know a lot of people get confused with that, so I wanted to point that out. But that is how you do that. And then, of course, with the different ones, you just shift the different things in to make the different parts. So I typically make multiple inscribers, because you definitely will need multiples. All right, now we're going to need... excuse me. Okay, so now we're going to need some fluids. Okay, I have seeds in that one. So we're going to need some of these fluids. So the charged crystals, which again, you can take the Certus and put them in the charger or mine up them. But we're going to throw that into some water. You have to be careful. Throw it into water with redstone dust and nether quartz. Ah, man. Hold on. And of course, make sure you don't have cheat mode on JEI like I just did. All right, so we're going to throw those in. And it's 1-to-1. Stop coming back to me. Obviously, don't stand too close, because then... Oh, see, that was close enough. It will make these flukes like it did. If we can get those to throw back in. There we go. And it just pops them out, and it looks really cool. But it'll make all these. It's 1-to-1. 1-to-1, is that right? Nope, I apologize. It is 2. So every one of those that you drop in, 1 charged, 1 nether quartz, and 1 redstone dust, it will give you 2, hence is why we have 2. Duh. Yeah. Brain. It's morning. I need more coffee. Okay, but now that we have the fluix crystals, we can make other things. But another way to grow these, because you can make seeds, fluix seeds. So let's look in here. So there's nether quartz seeds, there is fluix seeds, and there are certus quartz seeds. You make these. Oh, I'm gonna have to take it out. You make these by putting it with sand with the dust. And again, like I said, if you do the ore, you get 2 of the dust. So mix it go a little bit further. But you can make these seeds that way, and then you grow them. There's 2 different ways to grow them. There is the crystal growth accelerator, which you're going to have one of these toggle buses and turn it off and on. And if I turn it on, all of a sudden you'll see the sparks because it has to be powered, and power does have to be down below or up above, and it will grow that. Or you can put it in water and you just throw the seeds in. But here's the issue. If we do it this way, where we just throw it in the water, this is at 9%, and I've had it sitting there since I've been setting this whole thing up, which takes a while because I also had to find meteors. However, this, look at that. If we take a look at these are not fully grown, but it's 73% already. And they were a little bit grown, but it only speeds up the process while it is powered. The reason why you want to have this on, though, this toggle bus, is because it requires a redstone signal in order to give it power, because these eat up a lot of power. So you only want to have them powered while you're using something. So it's going to finish growing the rest of those. All right, a couple more things for a basic setup. You need a controller along with the energy acceptor that we talked about earlier. For this, I just have a creative just for demonstration purposes. This is the wireless crafting, wireless access point that we will need if you want to be able to use this. And this is the wireless terminal. Now, another thing we need is to put in these wireless boosters. It boosts how far we can use it, but it's still not unlimited. If you used this mod previously, it did have an unlimited, it was an infinity booster. And yeah, it was pretty awesome, but it made it where you could use it forever, even across dimensions. See, now they are popped up because they are done, and they are pure, which is what you get from the seeds. But it's going to continue eating up power, so make sure and turn that off. All right, so you need a security terminal. It used to just be if you were on a server, but it actually requires it now. So how do we do that? Well, you're going to take one of the biometric cards out, and you're simply going to shift right click, excuse me. So that puts it to you. So it put it to me. And then you're going to put it in the system here in order to be able to use it everywhere. You can also set permissions. So if you are on a server, then other people can't access it. Now to link the terminal, you're going to put it into here, the security system, and that will link it. Then once it is linked, you're going to put it over here on the charger, and that will charge it so you can actually use it. That's how you do that. The ME drive is what you have to connect in order to connect any of the drives. This will hold 10, and you can put all the different types in here. Now the ME terminal, this one it just allows you to see all the separate items that you have in your system and search for them. The crafting terminal, which is what I always make, allows you to actually craft, which means it'll pull the items directly from your system if you have them in there and allow you to craft it from here. If you are missing something, depending on what kind of pack you're using or whatever you're playing with, it'll either put it in here and leave a blank space, or it'll tell you that you don't have all the components. So that's the way that works. All right. Next, we have the different cables. Now, on a basic system, this is the glass cable, which is what I used over here, but it only allows you so many connections. Well, how do you know how many connections you have? Well, here is a smart cable, and this one doesn't tell you, but the smart cable will start to tell you how many channels you have available. So this, I have nothing connected to it, so it's 0 out of 8. And this one over here is a dense smart cable, which gives us 32 channels. And of course, it has to be connected to a system in order to see that. So I just have the controller here. Now, there are ways to bypass the 8 and even the 32, but I will do that in a separate video because it's very long and detailed and you have to do it just right. But that's that. Now, this is how you're going to set up if you want to do auto crafting. So you have to have a co-processing unit, and that will depend on how much you want to do. You can start with a 1K, but you will need a molecular assembler and a crafting unit. So I have it hooked up to an interface, and then I have a pattern terminal here. The pattern terminal allows you to create patterns. You have to make these blank patterns and put whatever recipe you want it to make in here. So for instance, I have set up everything so you can make a 1K ME storage component. Now, if this is the recipe I want it to do, then I click the arrow button, and now I have an encoded pattern. And if you hover over it, it'll tell you what it'll make. So how do I do that? Well, if I go into the molecular assembler, we can put it there. However, if I go into here, the ME interface, which is why you want one connected, you can store your patterns in here, which will allow you to then craft them. Now we're not going to go over complete auto crafting because again, that's a whole big process, but that is the basics of how to do it. And then you can obviously have it connected to your system to do that. Now I didn't go over how to get the silicone. The silicone, you're going to put the dust. Let me go grab my terminal here again. We are going to take the dust. Now it's any of the Certus dust, the Certus quartz dust, the fluid quartz, which I don't recommend using the fluix. You will find lots of the Certus quartz, so I do recommend using those, which is what I've done here. Basically, you grind them in the quartz grinder, and voila, that's how you get the silicone. All right, I think I've covered the basic overview of this. Again, this is not a tutorial. This is just what the mod can do. I will have tutorials, and I will put them in a playlist for you. But this is AE2, as it is often referred, applied to Energistics 2. It is an awesome mod, and it definitely makes your storage system so much more compact and easily accessible. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I appreciate you guys being here, as always. And until next time, this is Lava Temptress. Don't get burned. Bye!